Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. Mac, I really can't believe it's already week 4. What is going on? That is hard for me to believe, and this is a fun week. All 3 ranked teams are in action. We've got 4 other teams trying to remain undefeated, which is very interesting. I think this week is going to tell us a lot about how the ACC could shake out.
Well, and we've just got some conference play. We're here. It is
Finally.
crazy how fast it feels like the season is just flying by. It's kind of weird. I don't like it. We've done all this prep to get here, and then you look up and it's like, whoa, slow down. Let's ease into this thing. But it has been a ton of fun. And honestly, KG, looking at this schedule, I know there's still some games where you're like, okay, can we move on? Can we get going? Can we get out of the Youngstown State games? Can we get rid of those? But I think we're going to learn a lot. With Louisville and Georgia Tech playing, I love that. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, Clemson, NC State, Syracuse, Stanford having their first, ACC game. Same thing with Cal. And I think Miami has their toughest test of the season. So we're going to find out about Miami as well. So really excited about this. There's a ton of other games that I didn't mention that we will get to here in a second, but it's a pretty nice little weekend that I'm excited to see where we land.
Yes, it is, Mac. I think there are some fascinating games this weekend. We're going to get into our Big 4 breakdown and then our speed round. But first, we got to tell you about Ingles. Mac, I just went to Ingles today. We're recording on Thursday to get stuff for the tailgate this weekend. We're going to have a full house. The inn is full here at the Shula Inn. We've got people coming, and we've got to be ready. We've got to get that food. And Mac, I love fall decor. I love it. They had a lot of good fall decor stuff. So I got some pumpkins, things of that nature. It was a great visit. But I know when you go to Ingles, Mac, you do not. You go right past the fall decor. You go to the back of the store and you go to that meat department.
I am kicking pumpkins left and right. Like, get out of my way. There's too many. Why hasn't Kelly bought all of these already? But if you guys saw last night, here's the deal. Let me just set the scene for you. My wife goes to Clemson. She's board of visitors. She's in Clemson doing her thing. The baby is asleep, and it's time for the men to play, okay? And we're going hard. And so I knew that I was going to be alone, by myself, kind of depressing to cook a steak by yourself, not cook for anybody else. So I hit up my dad, hit up Pops, and Uncle Doug, Fresh, for those that have met him. I said, guys, listen, this is really depressing. I need you to help me out. Can you come to my house tonight, please? I'll cook for you. I'll cook everything you want. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. So we did these big old ribeyes that were so much fun. And again, as you mentioned, KG, Ingles has the best meat in town. So good. They chop it for you, whatever you want. You got it right then and there. And if you know those guys close enough, they'll really hook you up. And so again, they did that. The ribeyes were unbelievable. I did the reverse sear, as I always do. Super smoker. 225 for about an hour, flip it in halfway, and then I take it off and sear it on the Smitty, as I like to call it, skillet there. That's so much fun. Then we had a little lobster too. So all the veggies, lobsters, all of that. It was a men's dinner, not a boy dinner, not a girl dinner. It was a men's dinner. I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love that other men might do other things when their wife is away, but Mac's like, I just need to cook. I need some bros here. I need to cook a piece of meat. And that's what you do. So Ingles, best meat in town. They can hook you up. Let's get a message from our friends, and then let's get to these games, Mac.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
All right, Mac, let's get into these games. The Big 4 breakdown. We're going to be talking NC State Clemson, Miami South Florida, Georgia Tech Louisville, and Michigan State BC in the Big 4 breakdown. And then we will get to the speed round and talk about the game tonight with Stanford Syracuse, which I think could be very interesting. Let's start with NC State at number 21 Clemson. We have a full preview of this game already up, our episode from Wednesday with Bryant Wesco, who joined us on that episode. So go listen to that. And listen to this right here. Do both. The game's at noon on ABC. Clemson a 20.5 point favorite. I mean, let's just start there, Matt, because we didn't really hit on the spread too much on Wednesday. And I saw someone tweeted this to me, and I don't think I realized this. When the game first opened, when the spread first opened, it was 7 points or 7.5. And it ballooned to 20.5, mainly, I guess, because Grayson McCall's not playing, but also other factors. Just seems like a massive number when I look at this game.
Yeah, it is, right? It's huge. And it's, I don't know, you go back and forth about it, right? Vegas always knows. But then there was this stretch where they didn't know Clemson, right? And Clemson just could not get it done, could not cover. And I don't know where I stand. I'll get to it at the end of this. But it's one of those things where, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that NC State bounces back? NC State finds some crazy juju, has a true freshman, we assume, going in and being the guy in Death Valley, a place that they haven't won since '02? Or do you think Clemson's going to show more of the same like they did against App State, where they're tossing the ball all around the field? Cade making anticipating guys, throwing the ball open.
Anticipatory.
Like, thank you. 2 degrees, only one of them worked. All of those things where it's just like, where do you think it's going to land? And I do tend to think a little bit more on the Clemson side. I know you get it biased. Oh, this guy, jeez.
What?
Jeez. But I've seen it. I've seen it from NC State. I was the biggest Go Pack fan forever, for the whole summer leading into it. And talking playoff and talking 10-plus wins is the basement of what we're going to see. And I don't think that's the case. Can't run the ball. Haven't seen the offense be super effective and exciting. And we've seen the defense give up a ton, which, is always the calling card. So I tend to think a little bit of Clemson being back, a little bit of Clemson finding a really nice confidence coming off a bye. We'll see. But I think I'm taking the Tigers with that huge freaking number.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, and let's give some context here. And these are some great numbers from our intern, Nick, who's done great work for us this year so far in our research department, which is one person, basically, and intern Nick. He's done a great job. So these stats blew me away, Mac. NC State is 0-6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games in September. Clemson is 4-13 against the spread in their last 17 games in September. So neither of these teams cover in September. And honestly, Vegas hasn't figured them out, really, right? In September.
Right.
So that's confusing when you look at this spread and you look at this number. It's hard to believe, too, Matt. Clemson is a bigger favorite over NC State than they were over App, which is odd. But it also tells you a lot about what's happened recently in NC State. The Tennessee game is really hard to overlook. You got absolutely blasted. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the injuries. And then I think it speaks to how good Clemson looked against App.
Right.
Mac, let's get into CJ Bailey and kind of what we expect. This is another great note from intern Nick. We'll see if you read Nick's notes. This will be a good question here. The last freshman quarterback to win in Death Valley for an opposing team. Any guesses?
Ooh. Wow.
Long time ago.
No. Let me see the year.
2007.
2007. Not like Michael Vick. He was before that.
But you're on the right track. Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, what? How did I know it was Virginia Tech? How weird.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. Shout out Virginia Tech fans. So it's been a minute, and it just feels like you think of some of the freshmen that have started. I think of maybe James Blackman for Florida State. I feel like he was a freshman when he got bent in half. Just different. Sorry, Florida State fans. We're gonna get to you. You didn't deserve that. That's my bad. That's on me.
Don't worry.
That's on me. But I have my doubts. Now that being said, could you argue, Mac, in CJ Bailey's action against La Tech, he looked better than Grayson McCall has looked this season? I
don't think that's a stretch arguable? At all. Yeah, 100%. I don't think that there's any doubt about it. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, don't forget about the 300-yard pass. I won't. I was there. I saw it. And it didn't look great. It didn't look good. It was against the FCS team, and it took some time. Now, listen, still, I don't want this to come off as weird because I am a massive McCall fan. I'm a massive NC State fan. All these things is what I thought. I thought this would be game day. I thought this was going to be a top 15 matchup, and two teams that are really exciting to watch and exciting to get going and do their thing, but it just isn't, and it's one of those things where NC State, for whatever reason, just has not looked the part. So that second half against La Tech, 24 points, touchdowns, we need to see a little bit more, threat with the passing game, in regards to scoring. And part of that is injuries. Part of that is, I don't know if KC's good to go. I don't know, how much Jordan Waters is going to go. He didn't play, I don't think, in the fourth quarter, or didn't have a rush in the fourth quarter. So it might be a very different looking team, that we see running out there, but, let it rip. I think at the end of the day, Clemson's going to throw some stuff at them. I mean, I'm even watching the App State game again, KG, just to, kind of put some cherry on top of my, stuff here. They were sending some stuff against App State. I mean, like safety blitzes, overloading one side and then somehow coming and bringing it on the other. They were doing some exotic stuff. And, look out, a true freshman, they're going to force him to go to a second read quickly, or force him, hey, do you know where to go to the ball right now? And that's hard. So you have to be simple, but at the same time, you have to take shots and take risks.
It's a great point. I think a lot of it's going to come down to this NC State offense and how they look, but also the NC State defense has not really given NC State fans a lot of confidence. No. So can you make this Clemson offense continue to gain its confidence and continue to use those freshman wide receivers? That's obviously what everyone's interested in, is how will this offense look. But Mac, I think as we're going to make a pick on this game and get on to the rest of our Big Four breakdown, I'm actually, because that number is insane at 20.5, I'm going to take NC State to cover. I don't think NC State wins. I know. I don't think NC State wins, but when's the last time Clemson covered this type of number against an ACC or Power 4 team?
Sure,
it's been a moment. So maybe I'm doing this because I want to be proved wrong, but I also feel like, with Peter Woods probably not playing from what we're hearing, I feel like this Clemson defense has looked a little sus at times. I want to see how they look against NC State. NC State still has weapons. They just have to find a way to utilize them, and the O-line has to be better. Yeah. I think Clemson wins, but I think they win by maybe 17, something like that, 2 touchdowns, not 21 points. I'm going to take the Pack to cover, which neither of these teams cover, ever.
Right. Close your eyes and point. That's a good pick. Yeah, close your eyes and point. That's a good pick there. I think what you just said actually is a really fascinating point about Clemson's defense. We have not seen them play a full football game yet. We've seen them play an exceptional half against Georgia. Look really, really good. Dominant. What we thought, all year. And then we see, an App State game, some guys loafing a little bit. Some guys not finishing the drill, not being in the right spot, over pursuing. Little interesting. Now, they were up 42-0. Maybe there's a little bit of that in there. So we'll see. We'll see if they can turn it on. We'll see if we see, unbelievable effort and execution for a full 60 minutes. I love what I've seen from the Clemson offensive line. No sacks so far this season. I think maybe against Georgia there was one on a running back, and then another that was kind of a weird protection. But those guys are playing at a really high level, and excited to see them up front too. And just what can Phil Maffa do to extend that run game? So a complete effort. Haven't seen Clemson in a week. Excited to see him back here. I think I'm standing strong on the Tigers. The number has moved to just 20. There's no hook. So I think they get that done. I think they get that done.
All right. I still take NC State to cover the 20. And Mac, this game could be huge for NC State. This could change your whole season around, right?
No question.
Like you said, after the Tennessee game, it was ugly, but no one really thought you were going to win that game. So you're 2-1, where we all probably thought you'd be. And if you win this game, everything changes.
Yeah.
So still a lot to gain for NC State.
Let me just say this. The 10-2, this is the second loss that I thought you'd have. So you still, everything you want is still possibly on the radar. It just might not feel good in September. Who knows? It's all about November and December. That's all we care about. So just get there. Not wishing it away, but just hold on tight. Hold on tight.
Maybe CJ Bailey's your guy. Like he looked pretty good.
I think he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to be the guy.
Yeah. I know he's so young. True freshman. You rarely see that these days in the transfer QB world, per exactly what's happening with NC State. Okay, Mac, let's get to the next game on our Big Four breakdown. Number 8, Miami of Florida, playing at USF at South Florida. If my Florida geography is right, they are driving north to play South Florida. I find that
Weird.
funny. Or at least they're
Where are they?
driving
They in Tampa?
west.
They're in Tampa, right?
Tampa. Yeah,
How do
Tampa.
you get South Florida out of Tampa? Not
I don't
really
know.
South
I
Florida.
don't know, Mac. It's a good question. Right now, Miami, from what I've seen, is a 16.5 point favorite. This is a
Yeah.
primetime matchup, 7 p.m. on ESPN. The first matchup between these two teams since 2013. They've only played 6 times. And I think this game is interesting for so many reasons. Obviously, you have a top 10 Miami. You have Cam Ward, who right now is in the driver's seat for the Heisman Trophy. And you haven't seen Miami play anybody with a pulse, maybe the whole season. Sorry, Florida, but since Florida, at least, where they were in a really hostile environment and they looked incredible and absolutely handled business. So it's been weird because it's kind of tough to tell. We know what Miami is, we think we do, but they
Right.
haven't played anybody that can really challenge them yet. I'm not sure USF challenges them much more, but it's a road game. This is a USF team that's already played Alabama, had Alabama on the ropes late, and then they weren't able to shut it down, and then Alabama came back and won, but that was a very misleading final score. So I think this will be the biggest test of the year, kind of as you said earlier, Mac, for Miami.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. And the interesting thing, you talk about Cam Ward, and I think he's clearly the reason this game is in primetime. Everybody wants to see Cam, wants to see what he can do playing against this team, playing against this defense. I do think will be one of the bigger challenges. With Florida, it's still like, listen, they're an SEC team, right? They've got SEC guys. They have dudes that are big, strong, probably could have went anywhere in the country, but they went to Florida. So I don't want to discount that or discredit that, and I know you're not either. But just to see this execution, to see where Miami is right now and doing what they're supposed to do. Like, I really was a little worried that after they beat Florida the way they did, there would be a little complacency. There'd be a little, we don't have to worry about this team. And there hasn't been. They have been stomping these dudes. And now, guess what? USF, you're next. You're in the limelight here where we get to see you. And it's funny, I'm just looking at, stats and seeing, where everybody kind of ranks in the country. Cam Ward is second in the country with yards right now. I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah.
This dude is ripping it, pushing the ball downfield, the things that he's been able to do. It's fun to watch. And the ownership of the offense that he has, the control of not only the football, but where the football goes is electric. And he's number one in passing touchdowns with 11, and he's only been sacked twice. And so this dude's playing at a really high level. Couple of guys banged up on the offensive line. Will be interesting to see if they get Jalen Rivers back. I think that's kind of the the biggest piece. But guys are playing well behind them. So I think it's one of those things they feel really comfortable. Continue to get that run game going, and make sure business is taken care of. So I clearly think that if they didn't, because of the Bama game, because I'm sure that's been on a loop. Just the 3 quarters, right, has been on a loop of. This is what they can do to you if you do not respect this team. They're going to be ready. I think Miami is just at a different place right now.
I do agree with that, Mac, because that's always been our question mark with Miami is, can they handle their business? Can they handle their business like an elite program? And it really feels like since the Florida game they have. Now they haven't played anybody, I get that, but they've also won 62-0. Like they've done what they're supposed to do. It feels like they've been locked in every single week. The other question for me, Mac, and I'm sure our guy D Money over at Kane's Insight has more analysis of this, but at least from what I've found, there isn't any definitive answer right now on Ruben Bain. I'm assuming he's going to go as a soft tissue, what D Money told us. So that would really help because Byron Jones, the quarterback for South Florida, is second in all of FBS in rushing yards with over 250 yards. That's really the key. It's guys like that can blow open a game, the dynamic dual threat quarterback that can just make crazy things happen. And so Miami's got to be locked in on him. I mean, he's the key. If you let him do some craziness, that could be a real problem. And then I also think in a game like this on the road, we said this for Florida, turn the ball over, which Cam Ward, he threw that early pick against Florida and he was like, okay. And he just kept going. So I'm a little less worried about that for Miami offensively.
Well, and I think when you look at, when you have a quarterback that is that mobile, your guys got to be paying attention, right? Let's stay in our rush lanes. Let's stay disciplined, stay in our gaps, do our thing. And a guy like Tyler Barron probably licking his chops saying, yeah, let's go. Let's see this challenge. I want you running, right into me. And Alston, the other, transfer from Marshall, he's been really fun to watch, that 1-2 punch. And you're absolutely right. If we can add Bain back to that, let's go. Let's really get it going.
Yeah.
I think we also see, because of the running nature, of this quarterback and leading his team in rushing yards, we probably see, Maui Noah have a big time game. I mean, a little bit of a spy, a little
Needs
bit
to be.
active, has to, right? And getting after and making things happen there. So that is kind of a big challenge, and that'll be a trend with some of these other games. But running quarterbacks sometimes are a great equalizer. I think clearly you have to be on your
Yeah.
P's and Q's defending that.
But of course, South Florida is going to have to handle Cam Ward. So good luck with that. Mac, Miami, I had to read this stat a few times because it's so ridiculous. Miami has 32 plays of 20 or more yards through 3 games.
Number 1 in the country.
Yeah, number 1 in the country. That's insane. I know who they've played, but the explosiveness is crazy. I'm going to take Miami to cover here, Mac. I know you got to win by 17 on the road. Bama beat them by 26 at home, even though it was closer. But I don't know, but Bama did some ridiculous things. The fumbles in that game were just stupid. So I'm going to take Miami. I think Miami covers. Don't make me regret it, Miami. We're trusting you now.
Please. I'm looking up the weather as we speak right now to see, because I think that was a big deal in the Alabama game.
Yes, it was.
It's perfectly sunny. It's going to be the brilliant day.
Sunshine State, baby.
Miami scores 50 plus and goes ham. These guys are on another level right now. I think we see that offensive line continue to get better. Hopefully some guys, Inez Cooper too, he's coming back. We get that run game going. And when you have a quarterback like that, I mean, everything happens. Everything's better. I'm still kind of waiting for, the Sam Brown coming out party, being a guy that I thought could really take the top off, and hopefully we get to see that a little bit more consistently. But yeah, Miami rolls. I feel confident with the Canes here.
And Mac, I think you're exactly right. I think that game is at 7 p.m. because they want Cam Ward in primetime. I know Oklahoma, Tennessee is the big game on ABC or whatever, but they put him in primetime for a reason. Mac, let's get to this game. We were getting some people asking, are you going to preview this game? And the answer is, of course. Guys, come on. We're here. We're ready. Georgia Tech at number 19, Louisville. I think, arguably the sneaky best game in the ACC this weekend. Probably going to be the most competitive. I would imagine going to be decided in the fourth quarter between Georgia Tech and Louisville. This game is at Louisville, and Louisville is a 10-point favorite. I don't know if that number's changed, Matt, because that seems wild. Saturday, 3:30 on ESPN2. The number seems crazy. When you also think about how Georgia Tech performs against ranked teams, Brent Key is 5-0 straight up against nationally ranked ACC teams.
Never lost.
Crazy. Now, I know they went and lost to Syracuse. And Georgia Tech has played 4 games. Louisville's played 2. That's also weird. I don't know how to feel about that. I know this game's on the road, but I just feel like it's going to be closer than that. The spread throws me off a bit, Mac.
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see how close you think it is. And it's actually moved up to 10.5. So it's 10.5.
Oh.
Cards are rolling. A couple of different things. Let's start with GT. Number 1, love the way that they bounced back. Know the opponent. Totally get it. But they were ripping and really playing like we thought they could. Was impressive to see. Again, with a massive victory, 52-point dub. It's great. That's what you want. That's what's the kind of bounce back you want. And they have clearly been tested, right? They've played Syracuse, who's a really nice team, and kind of fended them off into the very end. Georgia Tech had all the momentum storming back, and then they just didn't have enough, to finish the deal there. Beat, a top 10 team. Eventually, we'll stop saying that, but they did.
But Mac, I do think
in another continent.
I do think that Florida State win it's more impressive because at the time Florida State was healthier, especially on the offensive line. They weren't a disaster mentally yet. I still think that's a good win for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech broke them. I understand. That's just is what it is. That's what they did
what Georgia
there.
Tech does.
And then on the opposite side, you have a Louisville team that hasn't played anybody. And I still think they're really good. I think you're taking a little merit from last year and what they were able to do, because I think you saw that. I think they have a better quarterback. I think their defense is more experienced, so they're better. And so, you just see what they're doing and who they're going to be. I love this matchup. I think it's really, really good. The thing that two things that I'm hanging my hat on here, right? Why I'm making this pick and why I think Louisville will cover. Georgia Tech just has not been good against the pass. We saw that against Syracuse. Kyle McCord light them up. We going into that game, didn't know. They hadn't been tested. They were tested. They got lit up. I think Louisville can present some other challenges that are very similar to that. And then on the other side, with Georgia Tech, we haven't seen, QB play. We haven't seen him push the ball downfield. Haynes has not done a great job launching it like we saw last year to Singleton, to Rutherford, all these other guys. And who knows, maybe that's just who they're playing, part of the game plan. But I would like to see that. I don't think Louisville's the team you could do it against. They have really good corners. Quincy, one of the best in the entire country. So I'm fascinated to see how this goes. And I think Louisville's defense, front seven specifically, or front four specifically, is good enough. You're not just going to be able to run for 200. You got to see some more there. So that's why I'm pretty confident in Louisville. I think this is their not coming out party, because clearly they're ranked 19 in the country, but I think this is their affirmation of, we're pretty good in this league.
Interesting, Mac. And I agree with most of what you're saying. I do think the biggest question mark in this game is probably, well, if you're looking just units, the Georgia Tech defense for sure, and probably the Georgia Tech secondary and what they can do, because I worry for them with what they've given up. I know playing Kyle McCord. I know that Shook is not Kyle McCord, but this is still a very good Louisville offense, at least from what we think, right? What we think.
Right.
But the Louisville defense, that's what I'm excited to watch. I think the best player, you could argue, Mac, the best player in this matchup is Ashton Gelati, who is a monster. And he's going to try to get after Haynes King yet again. Haynes King did have a pretty good game when they played last year. I know it was the first game for Louisville in the Jeff Brom era. They had all these transfers and, they didn't have the continuity they have now. But he passed over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, also had 50 rushing yards. He did throw a pick. That's what worries me too, is could we see that Haynes King pick, that Haynes King interception or two that changes this game? But when it comes down to it, Mac, the unit I believe in the most is the Louisville defense. I think the Louisville defense is going to show up and show out. The unit that worries me the most is the Georgia Tech defense. So that gives me some pause. But, and I know Vegas always knows, but plus there's a little 10.5 there. I think Georgia Tech covers. I think Louisville wins. I think Louisville wins by like a touchdown.
Okay.
But give me the Yellow Jackets to cover. And Mac, Louisville hasn't played anybody. That's what's crazy about this.
I'm with you.
I need to see it against a team with, pulse.
How do they get it done? You think Haynes just goes nuts or what?
Well, I would say this, Mac. I would take Georgia Tech's skill players over Louisville's, especially with the big wide receiver still out for Louisville. They're saying he might be back for Notre Dame, but not yet. So I don't know, Mac. I would take these skill players. I think Georgia Tech's going to be able to make some plays. I think you're going to be able to challenge this defense. But Louisville's going to play that ball control with Jeff Brom. Louisville can't afford to get down early. We've seen that for them, but I don't think that's going to happen. Plus, it's at Louisville. So I think Georgia Tech's able to do enough to keep it close.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I think Louisville flexes a little bit. I think they show, hey, this is what we're doing. They have a bunch of different guys.
So
I'm not giving up. I just feel I think Louisville's a good team. I think they are. So it's going to be fun to watch. Excited to see Louisville finally play somebody, because that out of conference is just horrific. It's terrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we need it. Now, we disagree. We disagree on 2 of these spreads so far, Mac.
We need to make a picks graphic. Now that we have all these disagreements, we need to get this posted. Come on,
Separation
BG.
Saturday.
That's right.
All right, let's get to this game quickly, and then we'll get to the speed round. Michigan State, BC. You're going to be there. This is the red bandana game for Boston College. The huddle will be there. Mac's going to be having some chowder. He's going to be having a good time up there in Boston. Michigan State at BC. BC, last I looked, again, check me, Mac, 6.5-point favorite. Okay, interesting. 8 p.m. on ACC Network, the 11th annual Red Bandana game. BC, Mac, one of the things I don't love about how we do things in college football is BC gets off to a great start. They challenge themselves. They go play at Missouri, number 6 in the country. They lose by 6, and they drop out of the poll? What are we doing?
Frustrating.
I mean,
it is frustrating.
Would BC still be ranked if they had went and played, the Salvation Army or something? Like, what are we doing?
Not the Salvation Army.
Sorry. Prayers up. But I hate that. So that annoys me. I still think BC is a pretty good team. The turnovers were a big issue against Missouri. Tommy's got to calm down a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think he will play a calmer game back home in Boston.
For
Chestnut
sure.
Hill.
Let me ask you this. Do you know who Prairie View A&M is?
Yes, that's a
Oh, you
HBCU.
do? Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Shout out. What's their
Shout out.
logo? Or who's their mascot? Do you know?
Prairie View A&M, like some sort of dog. No, not the prairie dogs.
You about to say the Terriers, a prairie dog?
Some sort of dog?
Panther, close.
Oh.
I've never heard of that team before. I love that they're HBCU. That's amazing. But yeah, if Boston College scheduled them instead of Mizzou,
Right.
they'd be ranked 21 right now. It's
They
unbelievable.
should be the
It's
prairie dogs,
unbelievable.
by the way. Why aren't y'all the Prairie View A&M prairie dogs? Makes a lot more
Would be
sense.
cool. Panther's a little more cool, but I understand that. I'm with you on the Castellanos thing, and I think he took it a little hard. Listening to him post game and things of that nature, and just understanding, hey, when you're the QB, there's something to truly every quarterback now because of just where we are in the game, the talent, the unbelievable athletes that we have, the game manager piece. Like, do not be the reason we lose, right? Do not be the reason that, this, and that's anybody. I've heard multiple people, multiple quarterbacks, really talk about that. And so I think Cade Klubnik talked about that the other day. And the key is, if you can find the right guy, if you can make the right decision, because there was a couple, it was just bad. It was just bad picks. It was just getting greedy and trying to force the ball downfield to the wrong guy. I mean, there's clearly two there. This ball's not getting to your dude. Just staying within the offense, but still, yet with all of that, was right there and could have won the game. Just, didn't have another chance to win it. Defense didn't, contain the quarterback. He picked up the first down. So I still feel really good about BC. I think they are emerging, as a great program. Obviously, when you have special players that make special plays, makes it so much easier. I love what I've seen from Trayshawn Ward, especially in the passing game, as just a utility player, whether that's a rail route, wheel route, kind of just hovering as a check down. He's electric after the catch. Lewis Bond has been electric just as a wide receiver, and continuing to see that connection there. And just him growing as a QB, listening to his guy, listening to, his coach there and the things he's able to do is it's really fun to watch that. So I'm excited to continue to see it. I'm excited to see it in person. And I think BC's getting this dub. I think they're bouncing back strongly.
I think so too. The spread, people are gonna hate me on this pod if you're a fan of these teams. I'm taking Michigan State to cover. I think this is a close game. Nick Marsh worries me. He's third in the country amongst freshmen with receiving yards. Luther Burden obviously destroyed BC, but he's also Luther Burden. It's a little different. But I just feel like this is a close game. I feel like it's maybe a 3-point game, something like that. Of course, the 6.5 doesn't give me if BC wins by a touchdown. I'm going to take BC to win, but I just need to see how much did that loss shake you up, right?
Sure.
Because they were feeling so good after the first 2 weeks. They were so confident. This is where we're kind of saying, okay, what is this program made of? Can you bounce back? Right. I think this game will tell us so much about BC.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about that, how are you feeling after the game? To me, I would be inspired. I'd be like, heck yeah. Because, I mean, you were what, 17-point dogs, 16.5-point dogs on the road, and you had every chance to win the game, and you didn't. You just came up a little short. To me, I would be like, dude, we can play with anybody. Let's go to work. Yeah. I mean, that's legitimately a team in Mizzou, that might be in an SEC championship that I think clearly is going to be in a college football playoff with one of these 12 seeds. So I think that even, there's not a lot that you get from a loss in regards to, this is, something we can build in the program. But I think it proved to you that you can hang. I think it proved to you that you can play.
I agree, Mac. I think that's what they should take from it.
We'll see.
Mac,
I'm loving these picks. Yeah? I need a graphic tomorrow, like right now.
We're disagreeing. Okay, we'll get our graphics department on that. BG, what's up? Okay, speed round. Before we get to that, Underdog Fantasy. Use our code GMPOD, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. So easy to use. So much fun. I got to be honest, I've never been into this type of stuff before, Mac. Truthfully, you know me. I barely watch the Marvel movies. I don't know. But this app is so easy to use. And it makes it really fun. And I love that you can
Yeah.
go by game. So if there's
Right.
just one game you're interested in, you can just go to that game and do a few entries from that game. I really like that.
Yeah.
You can also just look at the ACC games or whatever. And that part's really fun for me. They have a bunch of promos going on this week. If you want to win, hear my picks. If you want to have fun and go crazy, listen to Mac's picks. So we got to get into some of these picks, Mac. How
Let's
are
go.
you feeling this week?
Let's do this. Let's start with yours since it's like two
Oh.
picks. Mine's kind of a paragraph, so we'll start with yours. Tell us why you're feeling confident. And I do like the way you're saying easy to play, hard to win. Easier for some people, but it is a lot of fun. I have thoroughly enjoyed this app, like you said.
It's weird. I haven't found it that hard to win, Mac. But you know,
Let's hear
Okay.
it. Tell the people what they should take.
All right. On my entry list for this week, I have Jake Brenningstool, Clemson tight end, higher than 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Will he score a touchdown against NC State? I think so. I'm going to take that one. And then in two of our games in our speed round that we're going to get to, I have picks from these games, Mac. I have Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, over or higher of 2 passing touchdowns. He passed for 400 yards against Stanford. I think he is going to have a good game against SMU. SMU's been pretty good against the pass, but they haven't played anybody, and I think that he's going to have at least 2 passing touchdowns. And then with Pena, my guy from Syracuse, who has had 2 touchdowns in each of Syracuse's 2 games. I'm taking him higher than 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns because I think
I like
Kyle
it.
McCord is going to have a field day. So
Yeah.
those are my picks.
Come on. All right, KG. I like how you keep it tight. You get in, you get out, you take your money, you go home. But I like to shoot for the stars. I like to think that I am one pick away from financial freedom. And I heard
Love
that
it.
from a great philosopher. I think you might know them. They're pretty smart and smart with their money. So here we go. I'm going to run through these really quickly. I have 7. I have a 7er.
Oh my God, 7.
Here's the deal too, though. I did pick the flex. So if I miss 1, 2, I think it's only 2, I still make a little bit of money, which is great. So DJU, he's going against Cal. Good defense, number 1 in the country in turnovers taken. I'm going under 95.5. And by under, I mean lower, excuse me. Going lower than 195.5. It's just kind of a prove it deal. You got to show me what you're able to do there. I like the Jake Brenningstool thought, but I'm going yards. This guy was like the second or third most targeted tight end in college football last year. Clearly, he and Cade have a relationship, want to find him and get him involved. So I'm going higher than 46.5 passing yards there. And again, I think he's going to be a big piece of this offense every single time. Let's go to Friday night, tonight. Ashton Daniels, higher than 34.5 rushing yards. Last week, we saw Haynes King, or 2 weeks ago, go for 67 rushing yards. Ashton Daniels has been a big piece, especially running the football for Stanford. I think they're going to almost overemphasize that, get him going in high demand for that deal. Tommy Castellanos, I'm riding high with Tommy 10 out of 10 times. Give me higher than 183.5 passing yards. I think he gets that done maybe in the first half. That's what we saw last week. This guy was on fire. Amarian Hampton seems like a no-brainer. He is the offense for UNC. Higher than 105. That's a big number. It's a big number.
No, I like that.
They're
I like
playing
that.
JMU.
That's a good
They're
pick.
playing JMU, so give me that. Tyler Shuck, career day, 254, higher. Going against Georgia Tech. We saw Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord went for 400.
I hear you.
400.
I just don't know if Louisville will pass it that much, but we'll see.
They're going to pass. They're going to pass it.
Okay.
I can guarantee that. They're going to throw it. And then lastly, I'm ending with Kyle McCord. Again, Friday night, tonight, 293.5. This guy, that's a lot. That's a lot of passing yards. But let me pull up his stats right here quickly. Kyle McCord in his, how many games he played? He played 3 games. You felt good about it? Okay. I like that. He has passed for 380 and 350. So 290, no brainer. Seems like we're going. We'll see though. We'll see how hot that streak continues. I just casually, I don't know where the multiplier is. I put the 30% profit boost on this. And essentially, if I win this one, KG,
I'll never hear from you again.
I will have so much more money than you, you'll never hear from me.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay.
We're
Can't
close
wait.
to commas. Okay, we're close to winning commas around
I
here.
hope to never hear from you again. I hope that for you. Okay, Mac,
I
let's do
appreciate it.
our speed round. Let's give a thought on each of these games. And then
I
I'm
like
just
that.
going to tell you which games are in my you better not. You know the you better not.
Perfect.
Almost, I feel like talking about them might jinx it. So we're just going to let
Mm.
it ride. Stanford at Syracuse. Syracuse 8.5 point favorite tonight. I'm excited about this game. 7:30 ESPN. Stanford could not run the ball against TCU. That worries me. And then when you flip it, Kyle McCord, you just referenced him, Mac, has been slinging the rock all over the place. Stanford, 118 in the country in pass defense. Give me Syracuse to cover.
Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. Think they cover. Also, again, that quarterback run. I'm excited to see both these quarterbacks tonight and what they're able to do respectively, for their teams. How much did the travel take place?
That'll be
Stanford's
interesting.
been there since Wednesday. They came early. They're doing a day earlier than they normally would when they do these. So some dinosaur barbecue. Maybe it's weighing
Yep.
them down. I don't know. But still, give me Syracuse. I think Kyle McCord goes nuts. Also, Stanford's passing defense is not good. So
No.
they're going to take full advantage of that. TCU, 3-point favorite, heading to Dallas, heading to SMU. That's on the CW. We've got a quarterback change. We're going with KJ
Yeah.
full time. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do there. SMU's pass defense has been good. Haven't quite played, have played some teams, but we'll see. I'm going to go ladies first here. I want to hear where you're going with this. Not that it'll change my mind, but I do want to hear where you're going with this number.
I think SMU is all over the place right now. I
Yeah.
don't trust them. And this game is at SMU, but I think there will be probably a good bit of TCU fans there. TCU passed it 52 times against Central Florida. They couldn't run it, but Josh Hoover, who I have in my underdog picks, has been really good. I think this game's close, but I think TCU wins.
Yeah. Here's the interesting part about it. When you have your coach who you loved and you put a lot of investment into, and he jumps ship and leaves and goes
your
to
rival.
TCU and Sunny Dike to your rival, to a team you hate. I think that may have a little play, not for the players, but maybe for some people, may have a little bit. And I think the stability of this is our guy. This is what we're doing. You're the dude. We're going to figure it out. We're going to go full speed. I think SMU gets the upset. And I don't know if this is the rocket ship quite, that maybe what we thought, but I think a little bit of stability, and I think they get the dub. So I'm feeling okay about that.
They need it. They need it badly. I think it could do a lot for SMU, especially heading into Florida State.
Yeah.
Let's talk Florida State. Cal at Florida State, 7 p.m., ESPN2. Florida State is a 2.5 point favorite.
Have you watched
really
any games?
understand why.
Have you watched any games, Vegas?
I don't know if they have. A few things of note with this game. Cal leads the nation in interceptions with 9.
Yeah.
I think that could be an issue. We'll see if DJU's at the top of the depth chart. Do we see some Brock Glenn? I don't know. Secondly, Jaden Ott is probable and should play, I think, from what I'm gathering. That is big news for Cal. Part of me thinks I should just take Florida State to win, but I'm
Please do.
really worried.
Please do.
Well, Vegas.
Go
I'm
ahead.
just worried. I'm worried about where this team is mentally. And you know what I'm worried about, Mac? I'm worried about that crowd at Florida State. I think if you
Lot of
don't get off
boo-birds.
to a quick start, it could get really ugly.
Yeah.
I'll take Cal. I guess.
I thought I was going to get you.
I guess.
I'm taking Cal
guess.
overwhelmingly. I mean, their run game I have liked without Jaden Ott. I've still liked it. FSU can't stop a bloody nose.
Yeah.
They did a little better against Memphis, but come on, G5 team. What are we talking about here? So we'll see. I don't feel super confident about that. And I got a little PTSD this week, KG. I read a headline that said, we're really happy with how a quarterback is preparing. They keep us in the game. I thought it was a fake headline. I thought it was a fake article, but it wasn't. It was very real. So we'll see. Who knows? That'll be fascinating. Where are we going next? Rutgers. Rutgers is traveling to Lane Stadium. I don't know who's a 3.5 point favorite. I'm not reading this correctly.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech is. I think they're doing that. Continue to see the offense progress. This disappointed with Virginia Tech. I thought that we would see them be better faster. It almost seems like this is a new team with how they're figuring out identity, figuring out who they are. Love what I saw from the defense. This is going to be a crazy game. I'm going to go Virginia Tech because of Lane Stadium, but this is going to be a dogfight.
I already know this game's going to bore me because both teams, all they want to do is run the ball, which Virginia Tech, I thought you were going to be able to throw it. We'll see what happens, but I'm already bored, but I'm going to take Virginia Tech. You know what game won't be boring, Mac? It may be terrifying. And I was debating of putting this in the You Better Not. Virginia at Coastal, 2 p.m. on ESPN+. I don't think it's going to be boring. I'll say that. Because Calandria is never boring. But if you turn the ball over down there on the teal turf.
Teal turf, baby.
You've got a problem. So I'm just going to be watching my Wahoos, as we've discussed. I'm going to be watching this game kind of like this. Like, I'm just kind of scared. So good luck. Good luck, Virginia.
Let me just throw this out there. If you post a picture of you in Death Valley watching the Who's on an iPad or a phone, you will be number one. I'll buy you a jersey. I'll buy you whatever you want. You will be the biggest Virginia fan I've ever heard of in my life. I don't think I have much to add on to those. Let's get to the You Better Nots. That even might be a You Better Not. I'm going to put an asterisk. That might be in the You Better Not.
Yeah. I would put it in there. The other You Better Nots, JMU at North Carolina, Youngstown State at Pitt, and Duke at Middle Tennessee.
What are we doing?
Why? Want to see Pitt continue to look good, handle their business. We're all aboard the Pitt train. Get them to 4-0. That'd be amazing. And then North Carolina, I think it's a very interesting game with the quarterback situation. I know it's whatever quarterback can hand the ball off to Omarion the best, but I'm still curious to see what happens there. And then Duke, Middle Tennessee. Frankly, I want to hear nothing about this game because that means you won and you handled it. So
that's right.
I want to hear.
Do you think there's any thought to line up Omarion at quarterback and just get an extra blocker in there?
It's an idea. I'm totally down for that. I'm down for that idea.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. Anyway, I'm joking. I hope quarterback plays. Yeah. I hope quarterback jumps up because they have some weapons, and I want to see those guys push the ball through the air. But I also want to see that young man run it 106 yards. That's what I need. Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been a really fun episode. A lot of games, and we continue to get into ACC play, a lot more meaningful games, which is always exciting. I need you guys to go over to YouTube, subscribe, jump in here, tell us about what we think. KG and I differ on a lot of these games, which I love, and also tell us about our picks. I have a long shot. We're gonna shoot for it. KG's a little more manageable, also wins all the time. So, status quo, pretty boring. But anyway, until next time, we'll see y'all.